4 in a row, of course, in 1981.
We certainly did, yeah, and the man alongside me here was the man that stopped us from getting 5 in a row.
He did, indeed, Seamus.
So you could have a word with him there about the nudge or the push, whatever it was.
This was one of the better goals, was it, Mick? This one against Offaly in 81.
I said it was one of the great goals, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well worked.
And of course...
Jack, was it Jack?
Yeah.
Come on, Jack, well done.
I'd rather you describe it than Jacko, because he'd take ages telling us how good it was. But that 4 in a row, and we talk about keeping teams motivated and keeping them going. The 5 in a row, was that heartbreaking for you when you lost in the manner you lost it?
Well, it certainly was, I suppose. We were in a position to have won it all right. There's no doubt about that. We missed a penalty early on in that game as well. But I suppose justice maybe was done on the finish, you know, when you come to think of that. It was a very good Offaly team. The year before that, we played them and we had a wonderful game in the semi-final against them. We scored 4-15 and they scored 4-10. So they were a team that were on the way up. And there's no doubt about it, they deserve to win an All-Ireland title. But I certainly was heartbroken because we put a lot of work into that team. And it was a marvellous team. And that team, we failed to win the 5 in a row. But to just show you the character of Kerry footballers right down through the ages, we came back to win 3 in a row 2 years later, you know.
That's right, yeah. It was a fair achievement. Well, getting to that so-and-so then beside you who ruined it for you. Seamus, Darby, how are you? Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
The Kerry fellas, do they always bring it up when you meet them?
There's more than the Kerry lads bring it up, unfortunately. I suppose every day of my life I'm listening to it, you know.
And we're looking at it here now, yeah. And where's the nudge, Miko? Oh, yeah.
Would you think so? Was it a shovel or a nudge?
There was no nudge, Seamus.
I didn't think so anyway.
I didn't think so anyway.
Peter McGrath didn't think so.
Yeah, exactly.
They
were two important people.
And Seamus, when Miko was talking there about the really high-scoring match, I think Matt Connor, I remember, scored a massive score in that.
You know, in all fairness, that when you score 4-10 in an Ireland semi-final, or in any game, you'll expect to win it.
Yeah.
Matt Connor was one of the great players of any time, of any era.
Sure.
He scored 2-9 that day and still was on the losing side. So I think in all fairness, Offaly had a fairly good team. We were back again in the final the following year in 81 when Kerry beat us, and then we were back again in 82 again. So I think, you know, I know Kerry were a great team, but we had a good side as well.
Absolutely,
and you know,
and it was one of the great finals, actually.
It was one of the great games, apart from the goal or whatever.
Yeah.
It was and it was nail biting all the way up to the final whistle, you know.
Well, I suppose as you had your 2 finals, but the 1-2-5, of course, there's lots of the Cinderella moments, I suppose, as we'd call them. And Seamus Clancy from Clare is there, and Clare beating Kerry in the Munster final in '92. That was something else. Do you have vivid memories of it still?
It's too long ago nowadays. It's too long. From a Clare point of view, it's definitely too long ago.
Right.
I'd expected we'd have won more since, but we haven't, and you know, we're still the heroes, and we're waiting for new heroes to come along, and the sooner the better.
Have you looked at it in recent years?
No, but I did see it. I see my young lads watching it on YouTube or something like that lately, and they said, "Come on, watch this." So,
that was Marty's famous line, wasn't it? There won't be a cow milked in Clare tonight. Yeah. And my favourite bit that came out of that, Seamus, was Aaron Zyle won the Leinster Club final. I think it was the following year, and Keith and Johnny Barr were being interviewed, and Keith said there won't be a cow milked in Finglas tonight when they were interviewed after. Which was one of my... Well, there's a man sitting up behind you, Seamus, Declan Darcy, who featured in Leitrim's Connacht final win, which was... I mean, everybody from Leitrim came back for the All-Ireland semi-final from every corner of the world, didn't they? That was special, Declan.
That was very special, yeah. Like, I mean, at the time we wouldn't have realised it, I suppose, but now when you look back on it, and particularly for Leitrim people, because, you know, things weren't going very good, and, you know, everybody kind of half laugh about where Leitrim is or what it is, but that day they could stand tall and they were very, very proud. And but for us as a team, it was just about winning a game and winning a Connacht title, and that's what we were about. Obviously now when you look back on it, you can see the emotion and what it meant to people. But then, like, it was just another game of football. We wanted to win it.
And John O'Mahony, of course, brought you there.
Yeah, well, John is, top class. In the minute, I suppose he was the one that gave us the confidence when he decided to come to us. He kind of knew, obviously, we knew if he was coming to us, he must have thought there was something good there. So it gave everybody a bit of confidence. And then, of course, like, John is top man, and everywhere he goes, he has success.
He has, yeah. But John, you must get a kick out of that one. I mean, you have, as Declan said, had success elsewhere.
I remember before I went, Des, I was told there'd be a statue built on the bridge in Carrick-on-Shannon. I'm still waiting for it, but it was a wonderful occasion, and you know, we beat Mayo in the final on that day. And I'll never forget. You know, there was people from Mayo that went to cheer, obviously for Mayo, but they ended up almost cheering for Leitrim and stayed on the pitch with us. And we toured the county the day afterwards, you know, which you don't do for provincial finals. You know, the Kerrys are the Tyrones or whatever, are the Mayos, put the cup and the provincial cup in the boot. But we toured the whole county, and I remember arriving back on the Tuesday morning. It was bright. You know, there's wonderful memories, and Declan obviously was a wonderful leader, and there was all great people involved.
Yeah. Over here on the other side, Barney Rock from the Dubs is here, and Kieran Whelan was talking earlier about, you know, how few football All-Irelands there have been in the last 30 years. But 83 was so memorable. The final, the dirty dozen or the 12 apostles, when you had 3 sent off, depending on where they're from. But the semi-final victory over Cork and the dramatic goal you got was such a key part of it too, wasn't it?
Yes, I think in 83 that the goals, I suppose the one in Croke Park was the one that made it, coming back into it, and just the last kick of the game. That was a special moment, and it was the first time we had a trip outside of Croke Park, because in them particular stages we never went outside Croke Park for any championship matches for quarter-finals and semi-finals. Yeah,
and the replay then was manic with all the Dubs that went.
It was. We went down the day before. We stayed overnight in the Blarney Park Hotel, and we had a fantastic time. Hefo let us out on the tear the night beforehand. We went into the park, and some fellas had a pint or two and others didn't, and we came out and played the best football we ever played the following day against Cork.
You've justified the theories of every manager in the room there.
Just wants to mess it up a little bit. They wouldn't be able to do it now.
Pat Gilroy, don't take that as a message, is my plea to you. Well, sitting across me is Dublin had a great rivalry with Meath, of course, and Martin O'Connell is there. Meath, the Dublin rivalry. But then in the late 80s, Meath and Cork developed that great rivalry, and I suppose winning that first All-Ireland for you must have been great in 87, was it?
Oh, it was, Des, yeah. I suppose when you win your first one, it's nice. It's nice to win 1 or 2 or 3, but definitely your first one, it's lovely to win it, yes.
And again, you had lost the semi-final no more than we've heard other teams had to lose before they won. Isn't that right? So coming back and winning it. But there was to be a massive rivalry between Cork and Meath.
There was, for some reason, I don't really know why, but when you look back on it, it was probably stupid, really, at the end of the day, you know, and it was just one of those things. Like, we often went on holidays, and I remember being over in the Canaries. I think Cork were one side of the pool and we were the other side of the pool, and we wouldn't even talk, you know. So when you think back on that, it was really stupid. The cause of it was, I don't really know why it was, but that's just the way it was, I suppose, you know.
Tony Davis.
It wasn't actually until John Kearns' funeral, when all the Meath guys came down, and we kind of said, listen lads, this is stupid, it's only a game of football, you know.
That's right.
But it was intense and it was silly at the time. But when you're in the trenches, Martin, and you want to win and your whole life is about winning, reality goes out the window, doesn't it, really? It's all about winning, you know, when you're in there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But the trenches are fine, but the swimming pool is...
We could have ended up in the pool the way we were there.
We were all sitting around the deep end there. And there wasn't too many good swimmers.
I was going to say, if you weren't a swimmer, you wouldn't have gone out there on that holiday, so yeah.
Well, it took John Kearns' funeral, unfortunately, it took that thing to crack the thing, and we were glad we went down, and we talk and chat now and play a bit of golf now and again, so it's good to see that. Yeah.
There's a lesson here for every under-12 team who hates the parish next to them, by the way. But, Peter Quinn, we're talking there about Ulster at underage level, but the 90s and the noughties, or whatever you'd call this decade, I mean, the transformation for Ulster football in the last, 25 years is incredible, isn't it?
It has been fantastic. I suppose Ulster had a very difficult period between 68 and 91, and it wasn't football really wasn't highest on the agenda. I'm not saying that when teams went out they didn't give their utmost or that they didn't train as much as anyone else, but really there were lots of other things that were distracting them, and from that point of view, I suppose it was a different country. And then down came, and really they came from no place, because at the start of that championship nobody gave that down team any chance of winning an All-Ireland, and they came and won an Ulster championship, and got to the All-Ireland final and played well in getting to the All-Ireland final, and then had that fantastic game against Meath. A game that
Donegal then in 92.
Then Donegal in 92 and Derry in 93, and then we had 94. The game in Celtic Park, which for anyone who was there will be remembered as long as they live, because that was the best game of football I ever saw. Derry and Dowden in Celtic Park in 1994. Yeah. A game where the lead changed in the last 5 minutes 3 times. Nobody knew who was going to win it. But it wasn't just the fact that it was so exciting. The standard of football you were talking about, as it turned out, the 1994 champions playing the 1993 champions.